What's up, pups? How you guys doing? I'm doing great, thanks for asking. So today is like a good week. I'm feeling a lot less stressed out because MegaCon is behind me, and so I have more time to focus on the things that I really want to get done and also look inward and start working on myself. Something that I've struggled with for a long time, and I talk about it on social media a lot, so some of you might know already, but I have anxiety, and I'm pretty sure that I have undiagnosed depression. I just refuse to go to the doctor for it because I am like terrified of medication, but it's something that I've struggled with basically my whole entire life, and I kind of feel like I need to work more on self-therapy, and I find that when I talk about the things that I'm experiencing, it does help to kind of just release some of that tension and pain and stress out of my system. So I wanted to talk to you guys in this video and just see how you feel about the idea of me starting a video series about my anxiety and my depression and the struggles that I have with it. Because I have a lot of struggles that are tied into it that you wouldn't expect. So basically this video is just an overview of like me, getting to know me a little bit more about that side of me and to see if there's any interest in me doing a series like this. So yeah, so basically the in a nutshell version is that I am an extremely anxious person. I am medicated for my anxiety. Haven't gone to the doctor for my depression. I try to avoid that conversation when it comes up in the times that I've had therapy because I'm afraid of medication for depression because I'm just afraid of it. And my anxiety also prevents my body from producing a specific type of neurotransmitter that helps with my diet. So therefore I also struggle with weight issues because I'm insulin resistant, so when I have carbs and sugar it's not leaving my cells the way it should properly, and because of the whole neurotransmitter thing that also causes issues. Believe me, I've gone to the I have to go to the doctor every 3 months to get my blood work taken because it's just a constant struggle with like balancing out everything, and I still haven't figured out how to do it. So I'm struggling with trying to lose weight and trying to not be crazy and trying to not feel stressed all the time, and also trying not to hate myself because let's be honest, when you're depressed and anxious, sometimes you have feelings where you're just not good enough. And this is not me looking for sympathy, you guys. Like, if you struggle with this, you know this is just a part of like what you deal with, and it's a thing and you learn to live with it. So what I'm trying to do is make it not so hard on myself and try to figure out ways to make it better. So like I said, with the whole like weight issue and insulin resistance and the neurotransmitters, I also deal with IBS because that's in part triggered by anxiety, and also because the neurotransmitters aren't creating enough, like, I forget what the word is. There's like stuff in your gut that makes your body function better. I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, but I swear, like, my doctor explained it all to me. But basically, because of my anxiety, my body's not making enough neurotransmitters that are sending the message down to my gut to produce enough positive bacteria or like healthy bacteria. So instead it causes me to have IBS. So everything is triggered by something else, and it leads to more complicated problems than necessary. So it's really hard to deal with on a daily basis. Like, the number one thing that I constantly am thinking about is my anxiety and my depression and my stomach, and when I go out I have to make a conscious effort to know, okay, I'm not going to order this because it triggers my IBS, or okay, I need to take my medicine because I know that I'm going to get anxious when I'm here. Or, like, it's just a constant battle in my head to try to keep up with all of the things I have to do to not trigger another part of it. Does that make any sense? So when I was younger, I didn't know that I had anxiety. My parents would say I was just nervous, or they would tell me to calm down, or that I was freaking out for no reason. And, you know, I'm a little kid. I don't know. Like, I'm like, okay, I guess this is just me freaking out for no reason. If I were scared or nervous when I was younger, I would have to go to the bathroom, not knowing that that was also a symptom of IBS. And so my parents would just say, oh, you're just nervous, it'll pass, like, you'll be fine, it'll go away, it's just your nerves, you're good. And I never understood that response because it didn't pass, and I would have to go to the bathroom. Like, and when I would finally go to the bathroom, it was very real. Like, so I never understood that. And I'm not placing any blame on my parents whatsoever either, because mental illness was not necessarily something that was super talked about when I was younger. I'm 29 now, and when I was much younger, it wasn't really a thing that was like openly discussed. So I just in part take it as my parents didn't know what it was. They just assumed, yeah, I was just being nervous and it was fine. So I'm not upset by that. I'm glad I know now. But yeah, so I've also always had IBS, not knowing that it was worsened by my anxiety. And like I said, thankfully anxiety is so much more understood today than it was back then. I mean, it's one of the most common mental health disorders on the planet. Like, so many people have anxiety and they probably don't even realize it. And no matter who you are, you or someone close to you has been directly affected by anxiety. And I get a lot of questions sometimes from friends or from family who are trying to understand it, and they'll ask, what does it feel like? Because I get it, when you don't have anxiety, it can be hard to it can be hard to understand what I'm going through, because to you it might just be, oh, well, you're just nervous. Like my parents used to say, oh, you're just nervous, it's fine, it'll pass. But it's not just that. And so a lot of times people will question, like, what does it feel like to live that way? I mean, I didn't realize that I even had anxiety until about 5 years ago. So I've living my whole life, this whole time, this way, and thinking it was just normal. I figured this is how everyone lived. And when I first heard the symptoms of anxiety, when someone explained to me what the symptoms are, I immediately recognized that that is what I deal with on a daily basis. Anxiety is about feeling overly nervous or worried when there's really no reason to be. It's about perceiving every minor slight or incident and worrying about it incessantly. Like, you just can't help it. Like, you're just, like, So for example, this is like a perfect example. Ian and I went to Denny's yesterday morning to go to breakfast, and I have an app where you can like jump on the wait like before you actually get to the restaurant. So when we got there, it said that it was our time to sit. So I checked in and I said, oh, we're on the app, like we already checked in. And she goes, okay, there's no table for you. And I said, okay. And she just went, okay. And so I was very confused and I go, all right, so like I kind of stood there like what? And she's like, so you can go sit down and wait about 10 minutes. And I'm like, okay. And I made that face like, okay. And then when I walked away, I immediately felt bad. Like I was like, that was weird. This whole like interaction was weird. And I spent the next 10 minutes wondering in my head what I had done wrong in that interaction, like why she was so weird to me about it. And I started thinking like, was I rude? Did I do something wrong? Like I kept making comments to Ian like, that was really weird, right? Like what happened there? And he was like, it's fine, it's over with, like it's fine, we'll be sat. And he's very good about trying to like center me and like bring me back down when I start to like create these scenarios. But it's just little tiny things like that where like no one else would normally think of it, but like I can't stop thinking about it. Like it just dwells and it makes me feel like I'm going insane. Like I did something wrong and I'm worrying like how people are perceiving me and what they're thinking of me, and it's just, it doesn't stop. And I knew in high school, like with IBS, like if I ever got upset or nervous, like I would have to go to the bathroom, but I never really considered that nervousness was an actual symptom. So I guess if I could try to explain it in a condensed version, anxiety is like having the most pessimistic version of yourself sitting on your shoulder whispering in your ear. When a video that I put a lot of effort into does really poorly after I upload it, anxiety tells me that I'm not cut out to be a YouTuber and I should just quit because I've failed. And I forget a friend's birthday, which has happened before. Anxiety tells me that this is why I can't keep friends, because I'm horrible and I can't remember things and nobody likes me. So another question that I get from people who also have anxiety, especially from you guys who watch my videos and who know that I struggle with this, is what have I started doing that helps to cope with or deal with my anxiety? And honestly, I'm still learning as I go. Like I said, I only figured out that I have anxiety 5 years ago, and then after figuring that out, I had to get over the anxiety that I felt of going to a doctor for medication for it, and that took like another 1.5 years. So I've only been medicated for a couple years with anxiety, and I'm still struggling daily to figure out ways to cope with living with anxiety, because it sucks. Like it does. I'm not gonna try to sugarcoat it, and especially when you have anxiety and depression like I do, it's not fun. Depression runs in my family, and so it's something that I'm afraid of, but I also recognize that my other family members who are medicated for depression are living a great life. Like they're fine, but for some reason in my mind it's hard for me to get past the medication part. I don't like the idea of not being myself, but like also being myself as I am right now is really not a healthy way to be. So I'm trying to view it more as living with anxiety and depression. Like, that is not who I am. Like, that is a chemical imbalance in my brain that doesn't allow me to be myself. And I'm trying to view medication more as a tool that will help me to be myself. But it's hard. It really is, because it just, I don't know, like it's hard. I've attended a few therapy sessions now for my anxiety, but unfortunately that is so expensive. So it's hard to like maintain doing that, especially once a week like I was doing. But one of the things that my therapist did teach me throughout my sessions was to recognize a panic episode or my anxiety creeping up on me and try to figure out why it was happening before it actually took over. So recognizing when I'm beginning to panic and trying to figure out what's causing it. And then from there, reminding myself to focus on the present and not allow myself to be taken to that anxious place, that panicked place. It works sometimes, it doesn't work all the time. It does help to at least cope with the symptoms until I can get to medicine or get to a safe space. I hate to use that term because I'm not one of those people that uses safe space, but it's kind of true in this instance. Like, when I start to panic, most of the time it's when I'm driving or in public, and it's not necessarily safe for me to be having an episode in the car or out in public. So in this circumstance, safe space does mean someplace that I can get to where I'm not openly panicking out in public. Like, I remember one of the worst attacks that I had, and I've never experienced this before, so it freaked me out, but I started to panic while I was driving and I actually got vertigo. And that was terrifying because the whole world started spinning. Like, I was driving, but it didn't feel like I was driving straight anymore because my world was spinning, and I literally had to slam on my brakes in traffic, which is so dangerous, but I couldn't keep driving. I had to stop, and I pulled over into a left-hand turn lane, and I turned on my blinkers or my hazards, and I just sat there until it passed. And the only thing that I could do was just try to like center myself and calm down, and then immediately drive someplace that I knew I would be okay. So that has been really helpful. The breathing exercises and reminding myself to stay in the present and trying to focus on what triggered it and remind myself that I'm okay, I'm not in any danger. It's almost like talking yourself down in the moment. Like, like I even verbally out loud will talk to myself. I'm like, Kayleigh, you're fine. Like, it sounds like I'm a crazy person. I kind of am, but like also it helps. But overall, it helps me recognize the attacks before they happen and reduce the escalation. Like, it helps me stop them from escalating in the future. And what helped me even more was taking medication, and that's a solution that I resisted for years. It's one thing to go to therapy, but it doesn't actually take away my anxiety, it just helps me to understand it. And for a really long time, and this is not a slight to anyone on medication, but I was convinced that pills were for broken people, people who couldn't handle themselves, people who couldn't get their shit together and hold it in and remain intact. I was worried that I wouldn't feel like me anymore. And I was worried that if my anxiety did improve from medication, it would just be the pills and not me or something that I accomplished. So finally, after having a prescription for months, like my doctor prescribed it and I just wouldn't take them, but after having the prescription for months, I decided to take it. And I did notice an immediate result, like in my demeanor, in my like feelings of anxiety. Like, overall, I noticed a difference. I still don't take them every day because reliance upon medication is like just a weird phobia of mine. But when I do take them, especially when I'm about to have like a super panic episode, it helps tremendously. So like I said, another barrier that I'm trying to overcome is recognizing that medication is helpful and not hindering. I try to relate anxiety to something else that's easier to understand for me, because it can be hard to wrap your head around it. And I obviously wear contacts and glasses, so a good metaphor that I've tried to use is that anxiety is like trying to drive a car without your contacts or glasses on. Anxiety medication is like your corrective lenses, so you're able to navigate and drive more clearly. I know there's plenty of stigma when it comes to anxiety and medication, especially around mental health itself. And society as a whole is still coming around to the idea of mental health medication, but for me, I'm starting to realize that anxiety medication is just like taking medication for high blood pressure or cholesterol. It's a necessity. And I'm trying hard to recognize that for depression too, because I still haven't gotten up the courage to to go to my doctor about that. At the end of the day, there's a chemical imbalance in my brain and I need medication to correct it. So getting past that hurdle is step one. Anyway, you guys, like I said, I definitely would love to do a more open forum YouTube series about this. Maybe like every week or every other week I do a video about, you know, my anxiety and where I'm at and the things that I'm working on and the tools that I'm utilizing to try to feel better or steps to cope. There are so many things we can talk about in the realm of mental health and how it affects our entire lives. And I would love to, you know, do a video series if you guys are interested and talk more about it. Not only is it therapeutic to me, but I feel like there might be a lot of you out there who struggle with the fear of talking about something you're experiencing, or you might feel similar to me in the sense that medication is frightening to you and you don't know how to address your problems, or maybe you don't have a support system that will help you and recognize your symptoms and treat you like you're actually dealing with something. So I want to be that place for you, and in a way, I want this to be a safe space that you could come here if you have mental health issues such as anxiety or depression. I want to say other ones as well, but I'm not familiar with like bipolar and you know, manic disorders. Those aren't what I struggle with, but what I do struggle with, I want to be able to share that knowledge with you as well. So if this is something that you're interested in, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with your friends. I'd love to be able to have a more open discussion about this. And while we're on the subject, something else that I'm going to be incorporating into my channel, I'm going to be talking about my anxiety and my debt and how my debt contributes strongly to my anxiety and my weight. So I have a separate series that I'm going to be starting, just helping me to get in a better place, health-wise, diet-wise, and debt-wise, because I owe a lot of money to a lot of people, people being credit card companies. So I figured I would make a video series on that as well, kind of sharing tips and tricks that I'm doing to work on lowering my debt and overall bettering my mental health from that. So yeah, if you guys are interested, please let me know. I love you guys very much, and thanks for watching. If this is the first video that you're seeing of mine, hi, I'm Kayleigh. You should subscribe by hitting that red button right down below, and we can become best friends forever. Links to my Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram are also down below. I'll see you guys in a few days with another video. Bye, everyone.